Hello, students. Today I'm going to show you how to use Pixlr to create a photo collage, just like you'll be doing with your still life. So for today's project, you will need to take a photograph of something that you will want to include in your still life. I'll talk to you more about how to take that photograph, but in the end, this project for today only requires you to be making a background, a table, and one thing on your table. In the future, on the final product, your still life will need to have 4 to 5 objects on the table, but you'll need to have a background, a table, and 4 to 5 objects. For today's assignment, you just need one table, one background, one object. That's it. So I'm going to use Pixlr to create this photo collage. So when we're in Pixlr, pixlr.com, you're going to be using Pixlr E. So you're going to be using the advanced Pixlr E. You are going to create new. You're just going to keep full HD. As we move on, we might go into like Ultra HD, but for right now, full HD is fine. We're going to title this, we're going to take out the words untitled, and we're going to title it Still Life Practice Number 1. You need to get in the habit of titling, not just for art, but for other classes as well. You will be, from now until you graduate high school or graduate with your doctorate in zoobiology, you will be making so many documents that getting in the habit of naming them will allow you to know, was this the paper that I was writing for this class or that class? Is this the paper that is this the first edit or the third edit of that paper? So getting in the habit of like titling your whatever you're working on before you start it will help you a ton. So we're going to full HD, we're naming it Still Life Practice 1, and then we're gonna hit create. Now I'm gonna start by thinking about my background first. And that's not always the way you have to work when using photo collages, but that's the way that is the way that I'm going to have us do this today. So I'm thinking about my background, and in my head, I'm imagining a background that like looks like it's like the bottom third of the wall is like one color, and then the top 2/3 of the wall is like a wallpaper. So I'm going to start by clicking this tool here. This is the shape tool. This looks just like the shape tool in Chrome Canvas. And up here, you're going to see all the different shapes that you can choose from. I'm going to choose from the rectangle. And then about a third of the way up this, I'm going to draw a rectangle. Now you're going to notice that the rectangle, it has what's called, the fill is black, and the what's called stroke, which is this line here, they call that a stroke, is that light blue. And if you look over here, this is the fill, this is the stroke. Now I don't want it to look this way. I want the whole thing to be this light blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this tool here, which is the fill tool. Whatever is on top is what color is going to be filled inside that square. When I use this fill tool, whatever is on top will be what fills this square. If I want to change that color, I can click on that circle and I can change the color just like I would do in Chrome Canvas. Move this thing around, move this circle around. So if I kind of like move this around, you can see that like as I do this over here, the color is different depending on where I have things. But I want it to be this light blue, so we're good. Now I need to create a different layer for the wallpaper thing I'm going to put on top. I'm going to keep it empty. All right, so I made a new layer. I click this button here. That's how I create a new layer. And now I'm going to need to create the pattern that I want to be kind of up here behind this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Google and I'm going to type in wallpaper patterns. And I'm going to click on images. I'm going to go through here and pick one that I like. I like this one. How big are you? Yeah, you're pretty big. Look down here. You can always find the size, and you want it to be a pretty big size for it to work. I'm going to copy that image. And then while I'm still clicked into layer 2 here, I'm going to edit, paste it. Now it's going to take up the whole thing, and you're going to be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But I wanted that this blue thing to be on top of it. Well, what you're going to do is you're going to take this layer and you're going to move it up. And so now this layer's here, that layer's behind it. So I copied this and then I pasted it. You could even up here choose the size. So like I'm going to make a little bit smaller. I'm going to make it 2000. And then I'm going to move it more into place. I can even make it smaller. So I'm going to keep kind of playing with that width until it gets to where I want it to be. A little bit too small, so I'm going to do... Okay, there we go. All right, I'm happy with that. This is my wallpaper. This is the lower third of my picture here. And so now I'm going to put my table on here. Ads are going to keep popping up down here because it's free. Just click out of them. That's fine. So you need to have some kind of background. Your background does not need to be as complicated as mine, but I would like you to be able to find something on the internet and copy and paste it for your background. For your table, you're going to create that table. And let me show you how. You're going to click on the shape tool again. While you're in another layer, the one that says layer 2, you can also rename your layers so you know what this is. So instead of naming this layer 1, this is lower third background. This is going to be table. Now you know that you're creating a table there. So I'm going to use the shape tool, and I want my table to be kind of big and off to the corner here. And again, I don't want it to be this blue color or this black color. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to make my table kind of a brown, and every color has a brown in it. Down here is where all the browns are. But I want mine to be I want it to be kind of an orangey brown. So there's my orange. I'm kind of looking up there and I'm going, okay, when do I get to a brown that I like? This is where the color shows up. So now I'm going to fill this. I'm going to change this. That's fine. So while I'm in this layer, I can go to Edit and Free Transform. And what that's going to do is it's going to, remember, just keep clicking at these ads as they show up. Sometimes they get in the way. So I have to do that. Okay. So I'm going to free transform it. And when I do this, I need to make sure this free is linked because I want to be able to edit, free transform. Okay. So what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to turn this kind of into a trapezoid. The free transform did not work. Free distort. There you go. I wanted to free distort. Sorry, free distort in Google. Sorry, uh, in Adobe Photoshop. It's called free transform. So there's my table, right? Like you can kind of see now that this is a table. So I have created a background. So I took this picture from the internet and then I made the lower third of the background this blue by using the shape tool. And then to make my table, I took my shape tool and I put down a rectangle, and then I went to edit, free distort, and it allows me to distort it so that it looks like it's getting farther away from us, right? It doesn't just look like a flat thing facing me. Now it looks like it's going away from us. So now I need to put the object that I'm going to include in this collage. So far, what's called why it's called a collage is because like these are three different elements. They're not the same. They're not. Uh, I've basically cut them out. I've made these shapes. These aren't shapes that like I didn't take a photograph. I didn't paint this. Instead, I'm taking shapes from the internet and I'm putting them together. And so like I'm gonna now add a picture that I took, and that picture is gonna turn this into a photo collage. For your background, you could take a picture of like a wall in your house. You could take a picture of a rug or a blanket that you really like, and you could use that for your background. So get really creative with how you do this. But I'm going to show you right now how to now add an object to your table. So you're going to click make a new layer, and you're going to make this one an image layer. Now, before I even started this, I actually took a picture with my phone and emailed it to myself and then downloaded it. I know that some of you do not have phones. You can use the camera on your computer to do this. What you do is you go to insert in Google Drive, you go to insert image camera. Sorry, in Google Docs, insert image camera, and then you can use that camera to take pictures of stuff. And then maybe I'll make a whole other tutorial on how to do this, but if you don't have a camera, that's fine. I will make another tutorial on how to use insert image camera to then use the camera on your computer to do this. But back to where I was. I emailed myself a picture. I downloaded that picture. Now I'm going to go to my downloads and I'm going to find that picture. It's a bunch of numbers. It's right here. I'm going to use this roll of toilet paper. And the reason I'm putting this toilet paper in here is because I'm going to make my whole still life about COVID. Now, notice how big this is. You don't want it to be that big. You actually want it to be way, way smaller than this. So the maximum width of your image is 1980. So if you're up here and you come over to here to width, it'll be 1980. And then you can take your object and move it in here, and it's still too big. So kind of get it, you don't have to get it quite to the height that you want it to be yet. But just for the sake of what we're doing, I'm gonna just make this 900. And that will fit on my table a little bit better. Okay, so now this looks weird, right? Like it looks like an image that's just been placed in, and I don't want that. That's not the way I want it to look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, there's a couple different ways to do this. There's this thing called lasso select. That's one way to do this. Another way to do this is to use the eraser tool. So I'm going to start by using the lasso select tool, and then I will use the eraser tool. So to lasso select, I'm going to actually view this at 200%, and this will give me, wow, what I'm looking to do. So with lasso select, you're now going to select, you're just going to start to kind of trace around your object. I actually need this to be a little bit smaller. Edit, undo. The undo button's always there. So I'm gonna just I'm gonna do this thing called magnetic. You could also do what's called Bezier or a polygon. Bezier makes curves. Magnetic follows a color, and we'll see how well this turns out because this is a lot of white. But I don't think that it's gonna turn out very good. But you're just gonna do a quick kind of cutout of it anyway with the lasso tool. I didn't like the way that turned out, so I'm gonna edit, undo it. I'm gonna do that again. So I'm just gonna kind of come in here and do a quick cutout of my toilet paper. Now, right now, this is selected so that if I were to delete it, it would delete out the toilet paper, which is not what I want it to do. I've undone that. If you go to select, invert selection. So select, invert selection, and then you hit delete. Look what'll be left, just your toilet paper. So now I'm gonna go to select, deselect, and now I'm gonna zoom in. I'm gonna zoom in really, really close. I don't know why it's doing that. Um, so in order to move this around, I'm gonna have to use this toggle tool. So you're gonna see that there's all this stuff that I don't want there. I just want the toilet paper. So now I'm gonna use the erase tool. So now I'm gonna come in and I want this, the brush as it's called, I want the softness to be 0. I want it to be very hard. I'm gonna give it like maybe a 10% hardness. And what that does is it gives it a little soft edge so that you can make some mistakes. You want the size to be fairly small. So I'm gonna make it about 20. And now I'm gonna get as close to my toilet paper as I can. And I'm gonna start to erase the background around that toilet paper. So I'm going to erase the background around that toilet paper. So I used the select tool first, and then I'm going to use this eraser tool next. Remember, if you ever feel like you mess up, just go to edit, undo, and you can always undo it. So I'm going to hit pause on this recording right now, and I'm just going to show you what this looks like when I'm done. So you kind of know what you should be doing as well. So I'm just taking out my background so that it looks like the toilet paper is just sitting there, not that it's a completely different. You zoom in really good, you can actually like get as close to your toilet paper as you want. You don't have to take a picture of toilet paper. You can take a picture of whatever you want to practice this photo collage technique. Again, I'm going to just go ahead and hit pause on this so that you guys don't have to watch me erase all of it, and then I'll show you the completed thing. All right, so this is the final thing. This is just for today. What you need to do is create a background. You need to create a background, a table, and then you need to put an object on there. With my objects, if you look, I left a little bit of the shadow in there just to kind of be funny, to kind of show like maybe it has a shadow there. But it looks like maybe that toilet paper is actually kind of there. That's the whole point of a photo collage, is for you to be able to take photographs and put them together to make them look like they're all in the same picture, even though they weren't initially. One thing I forgot to say is when you take a picture for your photo collage, Try your hardest to make it in really good light, not dark at all, like try to get it next to the sun. And then also try to make it in a very plain background. So if you have like a plain sheet that you can take your pictures on, great. If you have like a plain piece of paper you can take your pictures on, great. The plainer the background, the easier it is for you to kind of clean it up. Because you can kind of then see the difference between the two, and it'll be easier for you to clean it up. So the tools I used today were the shape tool to make the background, the paint bucket tool to fill in the color for the background. I made a new layer for the wallpaper, and I did that by finding a picture I like, copying and pasting it. I made another layer that's my table, and I did that by using the shape tool and then the free distort tool. So if you go to edit, free distort, you can do that. And then I made another layer from image, and that allowed me to bring in this image of a toilet paper, which I'm going to call toilet paper right now. And then I used the lasso tool to kind of do a quick cutout of the image. And then to get it even cleaner cut out, I use the erase tool to kind of go around it and clean it out even better. It's still a little kind of rough looking, but that's okay. That's kind of the point of a photo collage. It's meant to be a little rough looking. So I expect when you turn this in, I expect to see a background, a table, and one object of a photograph you took on your table. Thank you guys. Have a good day.